The night my sister forgot to lock her iPad, I found the group chat my family never meant me to see. They weren't arguing. They weren't venting. They were coordinating. In it, they mocked me, used me, and joked about how long they could keep funding their lives as long as they played their roles right. I didn't say a word. I let them feel safe. It was 8:12 on a Tuesday night. I was standing in my sister Megan's kitchen in Indianapolis, holding her unlocked iPad in both hands while something boiled over on the stove behind me. I didn't move, because the screen in my hands had just rewritten every memory I had about the people I trusted most. The group chat was called Family. My name wasn't in it. The first message I saw was from my mother: "He'll keep paying. He always does." Then my brother Ethan just needs to feel like the man of the house. That's his weakness. And Megan, the same sister whose kids I'd picked up from school that afternoon: "Don't push him this week. He covered mom's bill already." The stove hissed behind me. I kept scrolling, and something inside me didn't break. It locked into place. The burner behind me screamed as the pot boiled over, starchy water spilling onto the stovetop, hissing against the heat. I didn't turn around. I couldn't, because my hands were still holding that iPad, Megan's iPad, and the screen kept lighting up with messages that weren't meant for me. Steam fogged the bottom edge of the glass. My thumb moved anyway. Scroll. Another message from my mother: "Don't ask him all at once. Space it out." A reply from Travis: "Yeah, last time I pushed too hard and he got quiet for a week." Then Megan again, just the wax stressed: "He hates seeing us struggle." I felt something tighten behind my eyes. Not tears, pressure. Like something mechanical was trying to adjust to information it wasn't built to process. I kept scrolling. There were screenshots, my bank transfers, Zelle confirmations with timestamps circled in red, amounts highlighted. $600, $1, $200, $450, each one captioned like it was a joke I wasn't in on. "He didn't even ask what it was for. Lol, told you, just say it's urgent. He moves faster when he thinks it's serious." My jaw locked. My hands didn't shake. That's what stayed with me later. The stillness. The way my body didn't panic. It just recalibrated. Then I saw a message from my mother, dated the day after my birthday, the day she posted a picture of us smiling at dinner. Captioned: "My son, my heart." The message read: "If he starts asking questions, cry first. It always works." Below it, and mention his dad. That shuts him down every time. For a second, everything went quiet. Not the kitchen, not the stove. Inside me, like something had been unplugged. Footsteps came from down the hall. Megan's voice getting closer. I locked the screen before she could see my face. She walked in, drying her hands. "Who keeps texting me?" I handed it back. "Probably school stuff," I said. She looked at me for a second. "You good?" I picked up the spoon, stirred the ruined pasta. "Yeah," I said. "Just tired." If I don't explain what came before, this is going to sound like I snapped. I didn't. Snapping would have been easier. What happened was slower than that. Colder. And a lot more deliberate. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 36 years old, senior operations manager at a regional logistics company in Indianapolis. I own a 2-bedroom townhouse on the south side. My car's paid off. My credit score sits just over 800. On paper, I'm the kind of guy people describe as solid, reliable, the one you call when something breaks. In my family, they had a different word for it: useful. My father left when I was 12. No fight, no warning. He went on a work trip to St. Louis and just didn't come back. My mom called his hotel. They said he checked out 2 days early. 6 weeks later, I got a letter. Not her. Me. There was $200 in cash inside, and one sentence written in his handwriting: "Take care of them now. You're the man of the house." That was it. No explanation, no apology. Just a job assignment. And I took it, because what else was I supposed to do? I was 12 years old. And overnight, I stopped being a kid. At 14, I was unloading trucks at a hardware store after school. At 16, I was covering part of the electric bill when winter hit hard. My mom said things were tight, and I didn't ask questions. At 18, I paid for Megan's senior trip because she deserved to feel normal. At 22, I co-signed Travis's first apartment because he had no credit and needed a chance. And it didn't stop. It never stopped. Phone bills, car insurance, groceries, medical co-pays, daycare for Megan's kids. There was always something, always a reason. And every time I stepped in, I got the same responses. My mom would squeeze my arm and say, "I don't know what we'd do without you." Megan would hug me. You're the only one I can count on. Travis would nod like it hurt him to say it. I'll pay you back, man, I swear. And I believed them. Not because I was stupid, because I needed it to be true. Because every time I paid for something, it felt like I was holding the family together. Like if I stopped, everything would fall apart, and maybe that meant they'd leave too. That's the part nobody talks about. When you grow up being told you're the man of the house, it doesn't feel like pressure, it feels like purpose. Like your value is measured in how much weight you can carry without complaining. So I carried it. For years, I didn't question it, not once. Because every payment came with something I didn't know how to live without that feeling of being needed. Of being the reason things worked. Of being enough. I thought I was helping my family survive. I didn't realize I was maintaining a system that depended on me never stopping. That depended on me never asking questions. That depended on me believing that love looked like obligation. And the truth is, I told myself whatever I had to keep that belief intact, because the alternative was sitting in the silence my father left behind and realizing something I wasn't ready to face, that if I stopped paying, they might stop needing me, and if they stopped needing me, they might stop pretending to love me. I wasn't ready for that answer. Not until that Tuesday night, 8:12 p.m., Megan's kitchen, that iPad in my hands, because in 11 minutes of scrolling, I saw something I couldn't unsee. Not hints, not suspicions, patterns. Clear, repeated, intentional. And suddenly every memory I had of helping started to look like something else. Not generosity, not love. A system. And I was the one funding it. Looking back, the signs were there, not big ones, nothing dramatic enough to stop me. Just small cracks, the kind you ignore because the alternative is worse. 3 years ago, Thanksgiving at my place, I paid for everything. Turkey, sides, drinks, even the extra folding table so everyone could sit comfortably. I was in the kitchen, basting the turkey, when I heard Megan in the hallway on the phone. She was laughing. Yeah, he loves doing this, she said. It makes him feel like he's the one holding everything together. I remember pausing. Just for a second, something about the way she said it didn't sit right, but when she came back into the kitchen, smiling, asking if the stuffing was ready, I told myself I misheard. Or misunderstood, because the other option was uglier than I was willing to face. Then there was Travis. He called me one night, said his car broke down, sounded stressed, said he needed $500 for repairs or he'd lose his job. I sent it within the hour. 2 weeks later, I saw his Instagram. Fresh tattoo sleeve, still wrapped in plastic, bright ink running up his arm. When I asked about the car, he shrugged. Wasn't as bad as I thought. He didn't offer the difference back. I didn't ask. And my mom, every Friday, like clockwork, 10 minutes of small talk, 5 minutes of complaints, then the shift. Hey, before I forget, groceries, a bill, a prescription, always something just urgent enough, just small enough to say yes without thinking. I told myself she was proud, that this was just how she asked for help. I told myself a lot of things. Because the truth was, those weren't random moments, they were rehearsals, and I'd been passing every test without realizing I was being graded. That night, I drove home in silence, no music, no phone calls. Just the sound of the engine and my own breathing, steady, controlled. I pulled into my garage, turned the car off, and didn't move. I sat there for 40 minutes, staring at the concrete wall in front of me, not thinking, not reacting, just holding everything in place. Because I knew one thing, whatever I did next was going to define everything after it. I didn't cry, not because I couldn't, because what I felt wasn't sadness. It was structural, like something load-bearing inside me had just been removed, and I was standing there, calculating how the rest would collapse. At 11:38 p.m., I went inside. I didn't turn on the TV, didn't check my phone. I sat down at my dining table, opened my laptop, and started pulling records. Every account, every transfer, every payment I'd ever made for them. I built a spreadsheet. Column A name, column B payment type, column C amount, column D frequency, column E start date, column F total paid. I worked in silence, scrolling through years of transactions, Zelle, Venmo, bank transfers, credit card charges. Patterns started forming almost immediately. Recurring payments I'd never labeled as recurring. Temporary help that never stopped, just this once that happened every month. At 2:57 a.m., I finished. I stared at the final number at the bottom of column F, $82,470. I didn't react, I just leaned back in my chair and let that number sit in the room with me. $82,000, not counting cash, not counting groceries I bought in person, not counting gas, gifts, school supplies, birthdays I funded but never got credit for. 82,000. I closed the laptop, went to the kitchen, made tea. Didn't drink it, just stood there, staring out the window into the dark street, trying to understand how something that felt like love could look so clean on a spreadsheet. At 6:00 a.m., I made coffee, sat back down, and started cutting. First autopay. My mom's phone bill. Gone. Travis's car insurance. Gone. Megan's daycare payments temporary 6 months ago gone. Streaming accounts I paid for removed. Pharmacy card linked to my credit card deactivated. Every single line connecting my money to their lives severed. No hesitation, no second pass. By noon, it was done. At 12:47 p.m., I opened a new bank account, different bank, different branch. I moved $52,300 into it. Clean break, no shared history, no access. At 1:30 p.m. I started printing screenshots from the group chat. Every message, every joke, every line where they turned me into something smaller. I highlighted the worst parts. He'll keep paying, that's his weakness. Cry first, it always works. Then I placed them into 3 plain white envelopes. Wrote their names on the front. Elaine, Megan, Travis, black marker. Clear. Final. At 2:15 p.m. I picked up my phone and called my mom. Hey, she said. Warm, easy. I was just thinking about you. I'm having dinner tomorrow, I said. 6:30. My place. A pause. That's unusual. I just want to do something nice, I said. The words came out smooth. Too smooth. All right, she said. I'll bring flowers. See you then. I hung up. And for the first time in years I didn't feel the urge to follow that call with a payment. The next step wasn't emotional. It was structural. I wasn't going to confront them until I knew exactly where I stood legally. Financially. Completely. So I made 2 calls. The first was to my financial advisor, Helen Park. I'd been working with her for a couple of years. Sharp, direct. The kind of person who didn't waste words. When she picked up, I didn't ease into it. I need to lock everything down, I said. She didn't ask why. Tell me what happened. So I did. Not all the emotion, just the facts. Group chat, screenshots, years of payments, what I'd already cut. There was a pause on the other end. Not confusion. Assessment. Okay, she said finally. First, freeze your credit. All 3 bureaus. I frowned. Why? Because if anyone in your family has your information, and they do, you need to make sure no one opens anything in your name once they realize the money's gone. That hadn't even crossed my mind. Second, she continued. Document everything. I already have screenshots. Good. Back them up, multiple locations. If anyone tries to claim you owe them something, you need a paper trail that holds. I leaned back in my chair. You think they'd do that? She didn't hesitate. I think people who rely on someone financially don't stop when the money stops. They escalate. That landed. Harder than anything in the chat. By 4:00 p.m., my credit was frozen. All 3 bureaus. I saved every file in 3 places: my laptop, an external drive, and a secure cloud folder. Redundancy. Control. No gaps. Then, I made the second call, HR. I changed my emergency contact, removed my mother's name, replaced it with Denise Walton, a coworker who'd known me for 7 years. Reliable, private, no overlap with my family. When I told her why, she didn't interrupt, just listened. Then she said something I didn't expect. I've watched you send money during lunch breaks for years, she said. You always thought no one noticed. I didn't respond. You looked tense every time, she added. I just didn't know how to say anything without making it worse. That stuck with me. Because it meant something I hadn't considered. This wasn't invisible. It just wasn't questioned. Before I ended the call, she said, Are you sure you're okay doing this? I looked at the envelopes on my table, at the names written across them. I'm not okay, I said, then paused. But I'm done. That night, I reviewed everything one more time. Accounts, documents, access points. No loose ends, no dependencies, no way back into my system, because what I was about to do wasn't just cutting them off, it was removing myself from a role I'd been forced into before I even understood what it meant. And once I did it, there was no version of me that could go back. Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. I set the table like it mattered, not casually, not rushed, precisely. linen napkins. The good plates I never used. Crystal glasses I bought 2 years ago and kept boxed because I was saving them. For what? I wasn't sure. Now I knew. A roasted chicken sat in the center, golden, crisp. Garlic mashed potatoes, green beans with almonds, and a lemon pie, my mom's favorite. The one she always called our tradition. Even though she'd never once stood next to me while I made it. Candles lit the table. Soft light. No harsh edges. Jazz played quietly from the speaker near the window. The whole place looked warm, calm, controlled. That part was intentional. I didn't want chaos, not yet. Megan arrived first, with her husband and the kids. The boys ran straight to the living room. Cartoons on. Plates waiting for them. No part of what was about to happen was meant for them. Megan hugged me. "You didn't have to do all this," she said. I nodded. "I know." Her husband shook my hand. Polite as always. Carried in a bottle of wine. He didn't know that would change. Travis showed up 10 minutes late. Same jacket, same attitude. Dropped into his chair like he owned the place. "Hope you made enough," he said. "I didn't eat all day." "Of course you didn't." My mom came last. She walked in holding the cheap bouquet grocery store flowers, still wrapped in plastic. "Ethan. This smells amazing," she said, leaning in like everything was normal. Like nothing had shifted, like I hadn't already seen everything. We sat, I served. I smiled when expected. Asked about the kids' school. Nodded through Travis complaining about gas prices. Listened to my mom talk about her neighbor, her doctor, the price of groceries. Every thank you, every "this is delicious" felt rehearsed, not fake familiar. Like muscle memory. Halfway through dinner, it started, right on time. My mom dabbed her mouth with the napkin. "Hey, sweetheart. Before I forget, my electric bill came in higher this month. I'm about $200 short." There it was. Travis leaned back in his chair. "Yee. Actually, I could use a little help too. Insurance hit early." Megan didn't hesitate. "Daycare double-charged me this month. I was gonna ask later, but..." 3 asks, back to back. No pause. No awareness. For a moment, a strange, almost detached part of me admired it. The timing. The coordination. The way they'd turned this table into a transaction point without even thinking about it. This wasn't random. This was a system. And I'd been the engine. I stood up. "Actually," I said calmly. "Before we get into any of that," they looked at me. I walked to the kitchen counter, picked up the envelopes, came back. "I have something for each of you." Megan frowned slightly. "What is this?" "Open them," I said. I glanced toward the living room. The kids were distracted. Good. No one here was ready for what came next, except me. Paper slid against paper as they opened the envelopes. No one spoke at first, just the sound of pages unfolding, and then silence. I stayed standing at the head of the table. Watched their eyes move, left to right, top to bottom. Processing. My mom reacted first. She always did. Color drained from her face, not all at once, but steadily, like something leaking out of her. Travis went the other direction. Red climbed up his neck, past his collar. Megan's lips parted slightly, then pressed together so tight the skin around them went pale. On the first page, highlighted in yellow, "He'll keep paying. He always does." On the second, "Ethan just needs to feel like the man of the house. That's his weakness." On the third, "Don't push him this week. He covered mom's bill already." No one looked at me. They didn't need to. They knew. I let the silence sit. Let it press down on them. Let them feel what it's like to be seen without control. Then, I spoke. "I found the chat Tuesday night," I said. My voice didn't shake. I read everything. My mom recovered first. She always recovered first. I'd watched her do it my entire life, that shift from exposed to composed. "Ethan," she said. Voice soft, controlled. "You shouldn't have been going through private conversations." I let out a short breath. "That's your defense," Megan jumped in. "It was just venting," she said quickly. "People say things when they're stressed. I don't say things like, 'Cry first.' It always works." I cut in. Her mouth shut. Travis tossed the papers onto the table. "They're messages," he said. "You're acting like we committed a crime." "No," I said. "I'm acting like you built a system." He scoffed. "It's family. We help each other. Families don't run scripts." "Travis," that landed. He didn't respond. My mom straightened in her chair. "After everything we've been through," she said, voice tightening. "After your father left, after I raised 3 children alone, you're going to humiliate us over a few messages." I looked at her. Really looked. And for the first time in my life, I didn't see my mother. I saw a pattern. No, I said. I'm choosing to stop funding people who treat me like a strategy. Silence. Travis leaned forward. You're overreacting. Am I? I reached behind me and picked up one more sheet, the spreadsheet. I slid it across the table. Numbers, columns, totals. Everything clean. Exact. What is this? Megan asked quietly. This, I said, is what your venting looks like in dollars. They stared at it. At the bottom, $82,470. No one laughed. No one minimized. Because numbers don't care about tone. They just sit there. Unarguable. I went through everything, I continued. Every transfer, every payment, every one-time help that turned into a monthly line item. I pointed to the sheet. That's what I've paid. Over the last 8 years. Travis shook his head. That's not all for us, it is. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. It's all connected to you. My mom's hands tightened in her lap. Ethan, she said. Softer now. We never asked you to keep track like this. You didn't have to, I said. I did it for you. That hit hard. I let it sit for a second. Then, I continued. Every account tied to me is closed. They looked up, all at once. My mom's phone bill off my card. Travis, your insurance autopay gone. Megan, daycare. Car note, your responsibility now. Megan's voice cracked. You can't just do that overnight. I already did. Silence. Real silence this time. Not defensive, not controlled, just absence. What are we supposed to do? Megan asked. It was the first honest question of the night. I met her eyes. Figure it out, the way adults do when no one's quietly carrying them. My mom shifted again. New angle. Ethan, she said. Voice trembling now. I am your mother. Yes, I said. That's what makes this worse. That broke something. Not in me, in the room. Travis pushed his chair back hard. You're being selfish, he snapped. You've always been like this, everything's about you. I almost smiled. That one was predictable. You didn't have a problem with me being selfish when I was paying your bills. He stood up. This is insane. No, I said. This is over. Megan was crying now, real tears this time. I know what we said was bad, she said, but you don't understand how hard things have been. I understand exactly how hard things have been, I said. I paid for them. The number sat between us, heavy, unavoidable. My mom tried one more time, that tone, the one I'd responded to my entire life. Ethan, sweetheart. I cut her off. No, that word stopped everything. I'm not doing this anymore. No anger, no escalation, just final. Travis grabbed his jacket. Fine, he said. Keep your money. See how long you last alone. There it was. The thing they all knew. The pressure point. The fear I'd been carrying since I was 12. That, if I stopped, I'd be alone. I walked to the door, opened it, looked at him. I was already alone, I said. Then, after a beat, I was just expensive. He didn't respond. Just walked past me. Megan followed slowly, disoriented. Like someone leaving a building after something collapsed inside it. Her husband lingered for a second. Looked at the papers. At her. Then, at me. Was all of this coming from you? He asked quietly. Megan didn't answer. She didn't need to. He nodded once. That was enough. He left. My mom stood last, still holding the flowers she'd brought. She looked at me like she was trying to find something familiar. Something she could still use. You'll regret this, she said. I held her gaze. What I regret, I said, is how long it took. She didn't argue, didn't cry, just turned and walked out. I closed the door. And just like that, the system shut down. I expected something. A crash, a breakdown, some kind of release. That's what people say happens after something like that. It didn't. I stood there for a moment after the door closed, hand still on the handle. Then I turned around and started cleaning. Plates first. Stacked them carefully. Carried them to the sink. I washed everything by hand, even the ones that could have gone in the dishwasher. Warm water, soap, repetition. It kept my hands moving, kept my head clear. I wiped down the table, folded the napkins, blew out the candles one by one. The apartment was quiet again, too quiet. The kind of quiet that isn't peaceful, just empty. I picked up the bouquet my mom had brought, cheap flowers, still wrapped in plastic. For a second, I looked at them. Then, I dropped them straight into the trash. Didn't unwrap them, didn't separate anything. Just let them fall, like everything else. When the kitchen was done, I sat on the floor, back against the cabinet, knees pulled up. And that's when it hit. Not the money, not the argument. The years. Every Friday call I answered thinking it meant something. Every I don't know what we'd do without you. You're the only one I can count on. All of it replayed, reframed. Not love, not gratitude, just maintenance. I wasn't part of a family. I was a function inside it, and the worst part was how long it took me to see it. I leaned my head back against the cabinet and closed my eyes. And for the first time that night, I let it through. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet, heavy, grief. Not for what I lost that night, but for what I thought I had for years. And somewhere under all of that, something else settled in. Not relief, not yet, but space. A kind of silence that didn't ask anything from me, that didn't need to be filled with a payment, or a fix, or a yes. Just space. And I didn't move to fill it. The next morning, my phone was full. 17 notifications, missed calls, texts stacked on top of each other. I didn't open them right away. I made coffee first, sat at the table, took a sip. Then, I started reading. Megan. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to be like that, Travis. This is unbelievable. My mom. We need to talk when you calm down. Another from Travis. You know Mom can't afford her bills alone. This is messed up. Megan, again, Eric isn't talking to me. Thanks for that. My mom, 7:02 a.m. I didn't raise you to be this cold. I read all of them once. Then I deleted Travis's messages, left my mom's unread. And after a long pause I replied to Megan, sorry is a start. It's not a repair. Then, I put my phone face down and went to work. The first week was silence. No calls, no follow-ups, just nothing. It didn't feel peaceful. It felt like the moment after something breaks when everyone steps back and waits to see what's left. Week 2, my mom called, not Friday, Monday. That alone told me everything. I answered. Ethan, she said. Voice tight. My phone's about to get shut off. I know, I said. Silence. I don't know how to set up a new account. There's a store on Meridian Street, I said. They'll walk you through it. Another pause, longer this time. Is this really who you want to be? I leaned back in my chair. This is who I've always been, I said. You just never had to deal with it. She hung up. Week 3. Travis showed up, unannounced, Saturday morning. I saw him through the peephole. He knocked once, then again, then harder. Ethan, he said through the door. This is stupid. Open up. I didn't move. I stood there, watching the clock on the wall. He waited, shifted, knocked again. Come on, man, 12 minutes. Then silence. Footsteps. His car starting. Gone. I didn't open the door. Week 4. Megan sent an email. Not a text, an actual email, long, structured. You could tell she'd rewritten it multiple times. She admitted everything. The group chat, how long it had existed. Over a year. She admitted she lied to her husband about where the daycare money was coming from. She admitted our mom started the chat. Originally, she said, to coordinate, asking me for help so they wouldn't overlap. Coordinate. Like I was a schedule, a resource to be managed. But then she wrote something else. I knew it was wrong, she said. I just kept telling myself it was okay because we're family. Because you had more. Because you never said no. A pause in the paragraph. I treated you like a solution, not a brother. That line stayed with me. I read the email twice, didn't respond. 3 days later, I wrote back, I believe you see it now. I need time to decide if that changes anything. The fallout didn't explode. It shifted, quietly. Like a system losing power in sections. My mom applied for assistance programs, heat support, utility discounts, things she could have done years ago. Travis picked up a second job. Delivery driving, complained about it to anyone who'd listen. Megan started doing bookkeeping work from home. Freelance. Her husband Eric stayed. But things changed. She didn't mention me when she talked about money anymore. Because she couldn't. The system they built around me collapsed, not dramatically, not all at once, just piece by piece. And the thing I kept waiting for, the part where everything got worse, didn't come. It wasn't better, but it was real. For the first time in years, everyone was dealing with their own weight. Including me. 2 months after the dinner, I started therapy. Not because I broke down, because I didn't. That was the problem. I kept functioning, going to work, answering emails, hitting deadlines, like nothing had happened. Except at 3:00 a.m., I'd wake up and check my bank account, not because I was worried about money, because it was quiet. No outgoing transfers, no pending requests, nothing to fix, nothing to cover. It felt wrong. Like something had been cut off that my body still expected to be there. Phantom pain, that's what Dr. Torres called it. Your role didn't just take your money, she said. It gave you identity. Removing it is going to feel like loss, even if it's freedom. She didn't soften things, didn't circle around the point. You weren't just helping your family, she said. You were performing a role you were assigned as a child. She leaned forward slightly, and you got very good at it. That landed, because it was true. Being the man of the house wasn't just something I did. It was who I was, or, at least, who I thought I had to be to matter. The first month without payments felt like silence. The second month felt like space. By the third, it started to feel like mine. I didn't change everything overnight. I didn't reinvent myself. I just started doing small things that didn't involve fixing someone else's life. I signed up for a Saturday morning class. Woodworking. Nothing complicated. Just basic projects. Measuring, cutting, building something that stayed where I put it. I went to a concert alone. Bought a ticket the same day. Didn't check if anyone else wanted to go. Didn't plan around anyone else's schedule. Just showed up. Stood in a crowd of strangers and realized I didn't feel responsible for any of them. That was new. I took a trip. 3 days. No reason. No one to report to. No one asking where I was or what I was doing. I spent money on myself without calculating how much I needed to save in case someone called. The guilt came. Of course it did. In waves. But the waves got smaller. Further apart. Easier to recognize for what they were, not responsibility. Conditioning. 5 months after the dinner, Megan and I met for coffee. Her idea? Neutral place? No history in the walls. She looked different. Not just tired present, like she wasn't performing. Eric and I are in counseling, she said. I nodded. Good. He's not mad at you, she added. He's mad at me. I didn't respond. He said he didn't know who I was anymore, she said quietly. I almost said something. Didn't. Because I understood that sentence better than anyone in that room. She wrapped her hands around her cup. Mom's figuring things out, she said. She applied for assistance. Got her bills down. I nodded again. And Travis? She hesitated. He's working more, complains about it, but he's doing it. We sat in silence for a moment. Then, she looked at me. I should have done this a long time ago, she said. Yes, I said. You should have. No anger, just fact. She nodded. Didn't argue. Didn't cry. And that was the first time I believed something had actually changed. Not everything, but enough. A year passed. I still see Dr. Torres every other Thursday, not because I'm broken, because I'm learning how to exist without measuring my worth by how much I carry. I got promoted. Senior director now, team of 4, corner office, more responsibility, but this time, it comes with a paycheck, not expectation. I paid off my townhouse early. No debt, no pressure. Just mine. I adopted a dog, didn't overthink it, just walked into a shelter and left with something that didn't need me to prove anything, just needed me to show up. Megan and I talk. Not often. But honestly, she sends pictures of the kids, no requests attached. I send back updates. Because I want to, not because I owe her. It's not what we had before, but what we had before wasn't real. This is. And this I can work with. There's a version of me that still exists. 12 years old, standing in the hallway, holding a letter from a man who left and called it responsibility. You're the man of that house now. He didn't ask, he assigned. And that kid, he believed it. He thought if he carried enough, fixed enough, paid enough, no one else would leave. That love could be secured through effort, through sacrifice, through being useful. He's still in me, I hear him sometimes. When the phone rings late, when someone says, I just need a little help, there's still that pull, that instinct to step in, to solve, to cover, to earn something that was never supposed to be earned in the first place. The difference now is I don't let him decide anymore. I don't let him reach for his wallet every time he feels that fear. I don't let him turn silence into a transaction. He did what he had to do to survive, but he doesn't have to do it anymore. So I let him rest, and for the first time, I don't feel like I'm losing something. I feel like I finally put something down that was never mine to carry.